Hey guys, it's Night Flame, and today guys, I will be reviewing Descender issue number 2. I didn't get the chance to review issue number 1, it's just because I just bought it, like today, and I binge read issue number 1 and 2, which is not really binge reading, but you get my point. Yeah, I'm excited to read it. Descender recently got a movie deal, and it's been, there's a lot of hype around it because it's gonna be a movie from Sony. So I'll tell you guys what I thought about this issue and if this series is worth following. So yeah. So the comic opens up with Tim 21. He is kind of having these visions of his past, and we end up finding out that there is this kind of gang that's looking for Tim. His robot type is kind of wanted, and a lot of people want this. So this gang is really following Tim, and Tim is trying to escape with his dog, robot dog Bandit. And while all of this is happening, we get flashbacks of Tim's, basically origin. And what happens for Tim is that, he was built by this guy called Dr. Kwan, and he was sent to a family. The reasons that robots like this were made is basically to accompany a child. Like it could be their toy, but as you go along, it kind of grows to be part of their family. At first it starts off as being kind of like this little pet, basically, but it becomes a family member. So Tim 21, he was sent to this family called the Tabers, the Tanbers. We'll see as we go on, but I forgot their last name. But yeah, we see a lot of innocence from Tim. He's not this character who's like, oh yeah, I know everything that's happening. He's a really innocent character. When he was born, he considered Dr. Kwan his dad, but he really wasn't his dad. He was his creator. So I really got this Pinocchio feeling from this, which I liked. And then we end up finding out that, like, as we go on, we get little flashbacks, current events flashbacks. It cuts off. So then, as Tim is running away from these gang of bandits, he almost gets caught. But he has this powers. He's not a kid. He's a half kid, half robot. He uses his like hand beam, and he shoots through one of them. And his dog Bandit, he gets pushed off this little cliff. He doesn't die though, but he's really scared. Tim is going after him, and we keep getting like a bunch of other flashbacks. We get flashbacks that he was sent to that family, like I told you, and then when he meets his family, and other ones like this one where he's all like, trying to get used to this, kind of like being a human. You can see he doesn't really look like a human, but he was getting used to it. With the help of Bandit, he kind of escapes these gangs, or this gang of criminals for a little bit, and we end up he ends up finding this really kind of like helmet that belonged to somebody, and it turns out that this helmet belonged to his mom, which he considers his mom, basically his the family he was brought into, the mother of that family. And it's really a heartbreaking scene, because when we find out that he basically found her dead body right here. We end up finding out that this family really took him in, and they didn't treat him as kind of like an outsider. They really brought him in and treated him as a family. They celebrated his birthday. They gave him gifts, and he was basically considered a son. And that's really a touching part of this issue. Since the mother is probably dead, as we find her dead body, we don't know what happened to Andy, and Andy is the little kid, the other son, the real human. So Tim 21, he sees his mom. He ends up getting kind of like caught in this predicament. He really can't escape of this cape. He reached the dead end, and the gang of criminals is coming after him. Tim really doesn't know what to do, so he fights back, and he kills the boss of this gang, and he ends up getting kind of killed in the process by one of the other criminals. He really doesn't get killed because he's a robot, but he has a critical system failure. And there was this robot machine that was around here, like around that area. He comes to life when this happens, and he ends up kind of killing the gang, hurting them really bad, and he ends up grabbing Tim. He really doesn't know how to save his life, but yeah, we end up finding out that he grabs Tim, and he says he doesn't know what to do. So we'll see what happens. Will Tim die? You know, obviously not. He's the main character, but I thought it was a good cliffhanger. So what did I think of Descender issue number 2? I just noticed that like the paperclip came out of it, which is not the paperclip but the staple, which is really sad because I like this issue. But yeah, what did I think of Descender number 2? The review must have been a little complicated, but basically the gist of it was that Tim 21, he was escaping from this gang of criminals. He was getting a lot of flashbacks, and he was a kid who was brought into this family kind of as a companion. He became more than a companion. He became kind of a son to that family. He became human as well. He was treated like a human. But then all of a sudden, there was this huge battle in issue number 1, which I didn't talk about, that basically wiped out. A bunch of people died in the process. Robots were blamed. And you know, Tim, he was kind of like in the sleep mode during this whole time. So he just woke up last issue. He found his family missing. And in this issue, we find out that his mom is dead. We don't know what happened with Andy, which Andy is his little brother or his brother. But yeah, in this issue, you saw at the end, Tim is really hurt, and we'll see what happens. So Descender issue number 2, I thought it was a really great issue. I liked it. The art is amazing from, you know, Dustin Nguyen. It's really good. I'm kind of a sucker for this. I'm kind of a sucker for heartwarming stories, but I'm not a sucker for sci-fi stories. I'm not good with sci-fi, but just like heartwarming, I'm good with. I liked seeing Tim as a little kid. It was great. I mean, not as a little kid, but I like seeing him being a kid. You know, I'm glad that he's a kid. I'm glad that he's the main character, because the innocence really works for this book. We see him being innocent, and it's just really heartwarming. I liked it. Just all those flashbacks made me want to pick up issue number 3. When I finished issue number 1, I was really unsure on what I was gonna do with this book. I wasn't sure if I was gonna pick it up. I wasn't sure if I was gonna drop it. Issue number 1 left me in the middle, but this issue totally sold me into it. I really want to know what's gonna happen. Dr. Kwon, he's really interesting. He's still alive. But I want to see what's going to happen with Tim. So really great issue. I definitely recommend you guys to pick it up. It's a great Image series. You definitely, you know, support the creators Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. Great series. I gave this issue of Descender a 9 out of 10. Definitely pick it up. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you like this video. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, and have a nice day, guys. Goodbye.